Should be
And Nicole is
sound.
monitoring too.
Oh, she is.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. There's
Good.
the sound now.
Good. We have extra
We have sound
monitor.
now?
Should work.
Should work.
So, I'm just fascinated how quickly... What?
Go ahead.
Are
I'm looking at that camera
Why are you looking at the camera?
because it looks crooked. Am I crooked over there, Steven?
Yes, you are.
Do I need to adjust that?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it just... Is
No, I got it. No. It's the actual... No.
There might be a delay between
there
us
we go.
and the
that
audio
it?
there.
Yeah, that's it. That leg.
Yeah.
Is that better, Steven?
Yes, that is better.
Much better.
Okay.
So
All right.
The week has just been going by so quick. Like I wake up and it's
I don't
Monday,
even know
and
what
I go
day
to
it is
sleep
where
and
I'm
it's
at.
Friday.
I know, and you know what? It's because this whole we're trying to sneak vacation in around working days.
Yes,
That's what it is.
I think summer should just be a summer of vacation, just not working.
like
at all.
Europe does.
Yes, exactly.
They
Take the
go.
whole
What do they
summer
call it?
off.
Go on holiday for 2
Go
months.
on holiday.
Let the whole
holiday.
world, stand on hold for a while.
I know. By the way, if you're just tuning in, you're watching what we like to call
A mess.
So we have our show Behind the Media that's coming up, and this
Oh.
is a sneak peek behind the media, before Behind the Media.
It's before behind
So,
the media.
so you tune in, you see two guys, and you say they're crazy, what's going on? No, you're watching work in progress. It's how the sausage is made. So we're arranging everything, we're tweaking the cameras, we're getting things done,
Making
we're
sure
talking
we have
about
audio.
the weather, we're making sure we have audio.
It's tough to actually have a video recording of a podcast without audio.
Yes.
And
it
the last 2 weeks I've been putting up now. Scroll forward because the first 30 seconds is silent. That's our intro.
We had an intro. Oh,
Yeah, but not anymore. This is
Not anymore.
we're working. Everything's rolling.
Everything's you're set, Jimmy?
Everything is
You marked up your scripts the right way?
I think so. We'll find out in a few seconds. Yeah.
Okay, hit it, Steve.
You're tuned in to Behind the Media. Dan Lothian and Jimmy Young bring 70 years of award-winning broadcast experience to the table. From newsrooms across the country, behind anchor desks and in the field, they've seen and covered it all. And now they are here to take you behind the media.
You're going to have to embrace technology. If you're an
Oh,
educator,
I'm embracing it.
I want you to use
You
the
can
phone
use it. No.
to help teach these
You don't
kids.
need to do that. I was covering the president in China, and we did a behind-the-scenes video. This is a gong, or
No, not a gong, a bong.
A bong.
With a B.
So that's right. I said
The
gong.
gong is a
That's
gong
right.
show.
I said gong.
Gong
Bong.
makes noise.
Bong.
Okay.
Why is it, Jimmy? Why?
Because sex sells, Dan.
True, but it's only part of the answer. It is. You have to be more
ad-libbing
creative
it.
now to be able to tell a story, and sometimes it's just a before and after picture and saying which one do you want to be. Scary crowds target the media, leading to fears that violence may be right around the corner.
Or already here, the Instagram distortion field. When the camera rolls or snaps a picture, is what you post really reality?
Good job, Jimmy.
Thank you very
On
much.
the record, off the record, on background, not for attribution. What does all of this mean? Seems not even the president gets it right.
What a shock. And bites behind the media, including CBS honcho Les Moonves' sexual misconduct allegations, and Apple versus Google and Facebook. It's a super social media bowl.
That's like a mouthful.
Yes.
Try to say that 15 times back to
Okay, super... No, never mind.
Okay. Grab a Post-it note, write out for lunch, stick it on your door, and sit back to enjoy our show. Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook, use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter, and listen on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Mack Weldon. It's a premium men's essentials brand that Jimmy wears every other day. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code CLNS at checkout. We're also powered by Little Park Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. For more, check us out at littleparkmedia.com or contact info@littleparkmedia.com. So, some scary crowds, Jimmy. It was this week, Jim Acosta and other colleagues from various networks were covering the president down in Florida. Did you see the video?
I have seen the video, and it is disturbing.
I have never seen so much anger, so many people whipped up. I saw a lot of one-finger salutes.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah, they weren't saying you're number one. I want to tell you right now, they were not.
They were saying you weren't number one.
That's correct.
And they were using the middle finger
Yes,
to sort of
indeed.
drive the nail in. They had posters with just harsh language aimed at reporters. They were egging them on with their cameras and just. I looked at it and it seemed like I was in a dream. It was another world where this was happening.
Nightmare.
It was a nightmare. Like, what would really motivate people to say, okay, today I want to go see the president, but I'm going to go there with my backpack full of anger, and I'm going to take it out on Jim Acosta from CNN and anybody else who's standing up there reporting and call them a liar. Like, why? There's nothing, absolutely nothing that I could be that upset over that would cause me to drive in my car to go scream at people.
That's because you're an educated man, Dan.
But, does it take education to not go crazy at a rally? Why not save your energy to yell and clap when the president says something you agree with or disagree with? But if you're going, you probably agree with.
I was going to say.
But why not save your energy for that?
There's a single theme, as you know, it is something that I've been
really?
waxing and tired
What
about
is that?
over. The single theme is that this guy is continuing to feed the hateful doctrine that he has espoused since day one that he got into politics.
My question is this, though.
And he's taken on, and he's the one, Dan, who's put the media in the crosshairs, and he's feeding this hatred towards the media.
But what is different this time that people are buying into this hook, line, and sinker? It's not as if people say stupid stuff all the time. They say negative things about things, but you don't have hundreds of thousands and millions of people who say, you know what, I believe it all, and I'm going to go and scream at the reporters out there on the streets. I mean, we know. This is like a broken record. We know we're not loved out there. We've always been on that list of most hated professions.
Well, hang on a second.
We haven't. We haven't, Jimmy.
Oh no, Dan.
We have.
I'm sorry. It was a respectful career. People respected journalists. They did. They respected journalists.
Jimmy,
yes.
You've seen those polls out there.
Yes,
those polls have always had rankings of least. I don't know if respect is what they use.
It was least liked
professions.
Attorneys.
Right? Attorney, yes. Used car salesmen are up there. And reporters. We're always up at the top of the list. Now,
I don't know. But hang on a second.
Yes, we are.
Are you disagreeing? No, I'm disagreeing.
What?
Because I also see when it's anchors, and there's a difference between the reporter
yes.
in the field.
They like the anchor.
And the anchor on the desk.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know if they sort of broke it up that way to say, do you like the anchors versus reporters?
Right. I get that, but I
think the journalism profession has always been up there, and they lumped everybody in. I think on the local level, people do respect their anchors.
I go back to education.
But
God.
People have always disliked the media. Or maybe not dislike them, but they've
been an easy target.
Exactly.
For people's feelings. Now, those feelings, by the way, can be positive or extremely negative.
Right.
Because there are people out there who look. Walter Cronkite, when I was growing up, was revered. We respected the man.
He was.
He was telling us the truth.
But there was nothing else going on in the world at the time.
Accepted it.
There was just one old guy sitting there going, and so it is.
I think it had a lot to do with the lack of respect for the elders that we have now.
Well, that could be it. But here's the thing, Jimmy. So there's one thing to not like us. Yes. And I'm okay with that. I've always reveled in the fact that people come up and say stuff.
Don't be nasty.
Exactly. And that is a concern because now there's all this talk about will there be blood in the streets? It is, how do you take, it's no longer, are you going to whip up a crazy person, sort of a criminal person out there? It is, will someone who's sort of borderline or maybe is somewhat normal, and they
borderline normal, or
no, someone who's borderline abnormal.
Okay.
Someone who is normal.
Yes.
And they just get whipped up into a frenzy, get caught up in the moment. They see Jim Acosta up there, and they strike out at him.
Yeah. And it's because he's really been in the POTUS's crosshairs since the
from day one.
From day one.
From day one.
And
he's held up as the foundation of fake news.
Right.
That's what the president.
That's right.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's also the POTUS who coined the phrase "the enemy of the state,"
which is very disturbing. Which aligns with something Stalin
Oh, another communist.
Yes.
Oh, gosh,
Well,
what a shock.
another.
Are you saying, well, no, another example of where this regime is going. And again, you know, I think we're saving it for, is it the second quarter? No, the second quarter we're talking Instagram. But when are we going to talk about Junior?
Confused? What do you?
D. Trump's Junior, when he's talking about the Democrats are socialists, they're like the Nazis.
Right.
This is what within the last 24 hours he's been saying
There's
that.
a lot of that being thrown around, and I think that, you know, whether you're
That's
targeting
the pot
parties
calling
or
the kettle black,
Yes.
Dan. It's a cliche.
Yeah. Do
but
people have kettles anymore?
Not a black kettle. I have a.
Do they have pots?
I have.
They don't even have black pots anymore.
I thought they legalized that. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm sorry. I couldn't
They're all
resist.
aluminum.
I could not resist.
There has to be updated to aluminum pots or shiny pots or
Yeah,
something like that.
stainless.
But stainless steel. But I do think that this is, you know, when you see the Hannitys of the world. And
I don't,
Shepard,
by the way,
no,
because
hear
he's
me out.
not part of my world.
No, but when
I
you-
read
no,
about him
what I'm
for
leading
this
up
show.
To, well, yes,
right.
What I'm leading up to
Yes.
is that Sean Hannity and Brett Baier and others from Fox News, while they dislike Acosta, and by the way, for the record, I am not an Acosta fan.
Okay.
As you know,
Yeah,
Jim
right.
Acosta took over my position after I left CNN, is a strong reporter, but has always reveled in getting attention around Jim Acosta rather than the story itself.
So, in other words, a reporter who's more important than his news that he's reporting.
Exactly. He loves the theatrics because
Which, by the
that
way,
gets
I might
attention.
add, is the polar opposite of Dan Lothian.
Exactly. I do my job. I keep my head down,
That's
and
right.
sometimes I get stepped on.
That-
but you know,
that's right.
when you have your head down, you don't see
But
the
you
big.
can, that's right.
But
you can,
anyway,
you can look yourself in the mirror and say,
And
"I did the best job I can."
I sleep like a baby.
That's right.
But the thing is, you know, that's one thing. But then you have these people from Fox who are saying, you know what, we too don't like Acosta. But this is where, if anyone, and I think Hannity said this, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, you know, if anyone puts a finger on Acosta, I'll be the first to defend him. And that's pretty amazing. That shows how far we've come when the people who are helping to whip up some of the president's rhetoric that is anti-media are saying, whoa, 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 whoa. We also feel concerned that this is going to lead to violence. And you better not go there because we are reporters. This is the United States. We have freedom of the press. And you can't cross that line.
Well, I don't think any one person has the right to get physical with another person, no matter what the
Unless it's a
confrontation.
different kind of physical.
Well,
what
I'm
song
all
was
for
that?
making love now, Dan, as you know. Okay, it's the
Yes,
violence
you are.
that I don't like,
Yes, it's
and
the
it's
violence.
and it is an easy way out. I don't
Okay,
like it.
You're
when,
making our producer or our director over there blush. He
it
just
doesn't
blushed.
take much.
Stephen, are you blushing?
It doesn't
Yeah,
take
I
much. Are you 21 yet, Stephen?
Yes, I've been 21.
Okay. Just want to make sure. Okay. This is because, you know, we may have to put up one of those, are you over 21
Right.
to enter this
To-
website?
Exactly.
To,
But no.
to listen to this show?
Look, we make a little light of it, but this is a serious issue here. Where
no, something's going to happen, Dan. You
I
think so, too.
I do.
Yeah, I do,
if,
too.
If I were in Acosta, and I don't know, maybe he is. If I were in Acosta's position now, I would make the network provide around-the-clock security for me. I would not be walking up to that White House. Normally, where you park is in one of the parking garages right around the White House,
Yep.
and you walk into the White House. There's really no underground way for you to get in there if you're a correspondent. I think that's a dangerous walk. I wouldn't do it without security because there's going to be someone out there who's a loose cannon who's going to say, you know what, if I do something, if I beat him up, or much worse, I'll get kudos from hundreds of thousands of people out there because everyone kind of agrees with me. And that's what I'm worried about. I think this is going to escalate to violence. I really do.
And I'll tell you that Sarah Huckabee Sanders already has a Secret Service detail around her.
She does.
And that's sad.
The whole thing is sad, and I think, look, and I know you don't agree with everything that comes out of her mouth, and a lot of people don't, but folks, you know,
I will say
you know,
this. I'll wait.
dial it back, folks.
Well,
whether you
yeah.
hate her or you hate Acosta and others, other members of the media, there's nothing wrong with words. I was listening to.
But words hurt, though, Dan.
It is, but I'm just saying to the extent that you can say I disagree with what you're saying, that's fine. And I was listening to someone on NPR this morning. They were saying that, and I don't recall who it was, but they were saying, you know what, people, that's what's great about America is that you are allowed to disagree with someone, to be anti something. There's nothing wrong with that. But there comes a time, and we've discussed this before, you can't walk into a crowded place and yell fire, right?
Or pick up a M16 and start shooting people.
Right, but I'm talking about the words here. What I'm saying, though, the words, you can't, the words, there is a time when the words cross the line, and that's what I think we're in right now.
Because words can lead to physicality.
I definitely think so.
And this is, and I'm going to give Ms. Sanders a credit here.
Oh, okay. Let me write that down.
Can you write this down?
On this day,
this is
August the 3rd,
that's right.
Jimmy gives Sarah Sanders,
right?
Not Barry Sanders,
no,
to be exact, right? Want to make sure.
Who retired at the right time.
Right.
But anyway, it's now standard to abandon common sense ethical practices, she said. This is a two-way street. We certainly support a free press. We certainly condemn violence against anybody, but we also ask that people act responsibly and report accurately and fairly.
That's fine.
And I think we all agree on that. But I do think that our leadership has to take some blame for his ridiculous use of social media, stirring people up and giving confidence to this anti-normal behavior of people.
Yeah, I agree. You know how this ends?
Pull the plug, POTUS!
You know, exactly. You know how this ends very quickly? The president goes to his next rally, or in the Oval Office or in the East Room, he stands up and he says, I'm not a fan of Jim Acosta, or I'm not a fan of CNN, or I'm not a fan of whatever. Make your long list. But I am a fan of responsible journalism and respectful behavior. And anyone who
Are you talking about the guy that's in the White House? He doesn't give a damn what anybody thinks of him.
I'm saying
he never says the right thing.
I'm saying how this should play out. I'm not saying
it ain't going to happen, man.
But I'm saying this is also how it all comes to an end.
Yeah.
He stands up there. He says,
he doesn't want it to come to an end.
I will not allow the kind of behavior that when you come to my rally, I want you to support and clap and scream and yell around what I'm saying, but don't take it out on reporters. And if I see you doing that, you will be out of my rally. You know what? That will put all of that to an end.
You're asking an irrational narcissist to think rationally.
Well, you know what, Jimmy?
That ain't happening.
Do you ever play the lottery?
No, because I know I'll never win because I know too many lottery winners. You know, once you know a lottery winner, there's no way you have a chance.
But what I'm saying is that people do play the lottery.
Yes.
But they may or may not expect that they're going to win, but you play it every so often. Some play it every time, and that's another story. That's a problem there.
Right.
But I think there are dreams, there are hopes, there are aspirations that we have. That's what gets me up in the morning, right? I feel like I can advance my job, my work, another 5 yards down the field. I have to hope that at some point before someone gets hurt, that the president stands up and does what's right. I'm not saying. I'm
sorry. That is just not going to happen. This president, this guy, this whack job. Sorry.
I have to hope.
Did I overmodulate a tad?
I'm sure you did. Stephen, was there overmodulation there?
It's my middle name.
Yeah, you had to peel your headsets back from your ears. But look, we can only hope. I think that's the only way this gets put under wraps, or to, sort of end this crazy talk that's going on out there.
You know what?
I don't want to see it go to extremes. And we're going to have people standing up and saying, we knew this was going to happen. This should have been stopped a long time ago, and it wasn't.
He could have stopped it. Now, keep in mind, we both are parents, Dan.
Yes, we are.
Okay?
Yes.
We both take that job and responsibility. It is the toughest job, the biggest responsibility you have. You have an obligation to the child you bring in the world. I get that. So this junior dude, Donald Trump Jr.
Yes.
I used his name.
Yes.
Now, granted, I'm calling it his son's name.
Right.
Okay. That he actually said this and believes it. That history.
Why believe history?
Because someone told you that in a history class does not make it true. Because after all, the educated people are liberal, and that's a nasty word. We can't do that. So what are we saying? The 2 + 2 isn't 4 anymore?
Of course not. It isn't. Actually, 2 + 2 isn't 4. It's 22. No, there's this, isn't it? There's a new math. There's a new math now where
what? You're confusing my point.
I can
Mr.
make
Lothian.
it whatever I want. But here's the thing, Jimmy.
Yes.
If you have this kind of language, this kind of rhetoric, where you don't have to believe history, then no wonder people don't believe anything that reporters are telling them. The only thing that people believe now is if it agrees with what their beliefs are. And if it doesn't, then it's fake news.
Wow.
What a sad state.
That is really
and again,
sad.
I'm not asking that you agree with everything that's on television or everything that's written online or everything that's written in a newspaper. I'm not saying that. Reporters make mistakes. There's some who are just screwballs. But I think in general, people are out there trying to provide information, and it isn't being made up. And unfortunately, if the attitude is that you can't believe history and you can't believe reporters because they're all fake, then this is what we're left with.
Yeah. Aren't we
And
supposed
it's
to learn lessons from history?
We are.
And now
Or
we have
will
this
repeat
guy,
them.
and he's comparing the Democrats to the Nazi Party.
Yeah.
Now, I'm really disturbed by that. And as I'm
Yeah.
sure you are too, that we have to, that the Nazi Party has become part of almost a regular reference during this administration.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Either the administration supporters comparing Democrats to them, or liberals or those on the other side saying a lot of what the administration is doing is eerily familiar.
It is,
what,
and we were talking about this yesterday before DT Jr. did this.
Right.
Okay,
and
I know we did,
and way before Behind the Media.
Right. Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah. I'm
Oh my
extremely
We're angry.
concerned.
We're fired up.
That's right. And we
I
only have
what
one
we're-
guy to blame for
And
it.
I don't know what we're going to do about it. We want to know if you're fired up, if you're angry. Let us know. If you like this episode, reach out to us. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. Have any questions or comments? Let us know at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com.
Okay. That's the bell.
bell.
That means we're going to go into the second quarter. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
Is this the time to bring in our special guest?
Yes, Nicole Spiller will
Come
be
on,
walking
Nicole!
in just a few moments. From time to time, we do bring on a guest here in our podcast studio. And the reason we did is because Instagram is the subject of our discussion today. We have this... this
generation
ongoing,
gap?
Yeah, it's a
Age
generation gap.
Just a tad.
Everybody,
you think?
everybody snaps pictures, and everyone is sharing what their friends are saying and doing when they're out at night. And the question is it reality? Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
Oh, we find the interesting in media so you don't have to go looking around under your sofa for it. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. And listen on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Mack Weldon. It's a premium men's essentials brand, as we point out, that Jimmy wears every other day. Right, Jimmy?
Yes, sir, and I've got them on right now.
That's right. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code CLNS at checkout. We're also powered by Little Part Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. For more, check out littlepartmedia.com or contact info@littlepartmedia.com. So, Nicole.
Yes.
Are you an Instagram
user?
You're a user, obviously.
I would definitely say I'm an Instagram user, if not go as far to say that I'm an Instagram influencer.
Influencer.
Ooh, influencer.
And that means that you post things on behalf of others, and then when people see that, they act on it, right? You can get people to engage.
Yes, basically it just means that you have at your fingertips a target audience to influence at your disposal.
Right.
Wow.
And you have quite
many
a few
followers,
thousand
or-
followers.
I think right now I have a little under 85,000
Wow.
followers.
And Dan, how many followers do you have?
I have about 86,000.
Yeah. You had a Twitter account when you were active on CNN.
I lost a lot of those. I still have it.
Right, but I mean, you had 40,000 or 50,000.
I had thousands.
Right. I think I had 43.
Mine, and then I lost. I think I lost about
43,000
10.
or
No,
43?
just 43. And I know every one of those 43, I might add, who are following
Well,
it.
that's
and I
because you
keep
had
look-
them sign up at the street corner.
That's right. I
somewhere,
pay
right?
them $1 a piece to
Right.
just follow me around and tell me stories. No. I don't like people following. I don't buy into the social media thing. I've decided,
You have to buy into it. What do you mean you don't buy into it? It's here.
and we're using it.
Right, we're using it.
I
It's the
understand
future.
it.
Yes.
I understand
Wait,
all
it's,
of that.
It's the present and the future.
I understand
Yes.
that, but I don't want to unless someone is going to pay me to post my thoughts.
Right. Well, you
Okay.
gotta
You gotta get the
You gotta
audience
get the
first.
audience first before they'll pay you, Jimmy.
That's my point. Okay,
Well,
and
you
it's
gotta-
like
you gotta do the work before you
I
get
would
the pay.
much rather have them just kind of watch and follow, find it out organically. I'm big on the organic thing.
Yes,
gotta
so am I.
prove
Organic
yourself.
food.
I've proved myself. Thank you very much.
Not
in
organically.
35 years of busting my butt in the media world.
So how do you get the 90,000, 80,000, 90? How do you
Dan,
get that?
look at her.
Well,
I would, come on.
You just don't, well, look,
She's a talented, young
No, it takes more than talent.
professional.
There's a trick. How do you do it?
I think it's all about having the right people in your network and letting them give you that exposure. So what had happened to me when I was younger is, honestly, just by chance, Tyra Banks, supermodel, had found a picture of me modeling and then a picture of me as a child and posted them to her social media. Mm-hmm. And I think her doing that just made all of her followers come to my page and then follow me, and then that kind of made me go viral from there.
Wait, but how do you get her attention?
I didn't try to get her attention. Okay. She had just kind of stumbled upon a picture of me and felt the need to repost it. So then a couple news outlets had come up to me and wanted to interview me on that experience. And the exposure that gave me just led to a snowball effect of more and more people wanting to follow me and see what I was doing with my career.
Wow. She's a professional model. She's been on the cover of Boston Magazine as a 16.
Yeah. 16? I think I was 15 or 16.
She's a cover girl on a city magazine at 16. I mean,
but I think there are a lot of moments where you can get a one hit. I remember there was a teacher who wrote this an article, and I think she had something like 1 million retweets or whatever it was. It was shared widely. It went viral, and then that was it. Like, she tried to take advantage of that, and it didn't happen. So what happens? How do you keep the rhythm or the momentum going in order to build your audience?
So, like, what you said definitely is true. Like, it doesn't matter if one post goes viral. You could have 50,000 views on something that went really viral, and then the next post could have 200 views. And these people need to see a consistent amount of great content for them to follow you. For them to like you and view one post isn't as powerful as you capturing their attention multiple times consistently to get them to press that follow button and engage with your content. If they're just following you and not engaging with your content, then it's really useless, and that's called a ghost follower.
Oh, we talked about that.
We did talk about it.
We did. I had no idea what it was, of course.
What a shock. Or Casper, as we like to call him.
The friendly ghost.
The friendly ghost, yeah.
But one of the things I find fascinating, though, about Nicole's following is that she will get people or products or people that are in marketing to say, Nicole, here's our product, check it out, endorse it, and then people will actually look at it, bang, and they'll buy it.
Right.
It's an impulse.
Which is what we're doing today. We check out Behind the Media, endorse it, and sell it for
We certainly hope so, right?
Yeah.
It's like a push form of marketing. So you have that call to action. I promote the product if I want to. I'm very careful with what I endorse. I want to make sure that I'm coming off as authentic, and these are actually products that I would use or am using on a daily basis. And then I just put, like, swipe up to purchase this product, and I give them a discount code that they can only get if they're following me. And then sometimes that'll encourage them to reach out to their friends. Oh, did you see this product? And then you gain followers from word of mouth that way too.
What kind of products are we talking about here?
Beauty products, health products, skincare.
Mac Weldon. I wear them. Nobody's giving me a code to give out.
A lot of
course we have a code.
CLNS media code.
That's
right.
the code.
That's right.
Exactly. That's the code.
That saves you 20% on your next purchase.
Exactly.
Shameless promotion.
I'm extremely shameless, actually.
Yes, you are. The reason we're talking about Instagram today, what's sort of the catalyst for this discussion, is the fact that there was this article that was written focused on the fact that when we see things posted on Instagram, a picture or a short video, we see our friends and they're having, let's say they're in the Bahamas, they're having a great time, they're all like, holding their hands up, holding up their wine bottles or whatever they're doing. And the issue is that, in fact, they may not have had a good time that night. So what is projected throughout social media and Instagram here specifically is, when the camera snaps or when the video is rolling, people do what they're supposed to do. They have to act in a way. And then we're sitting at home going, oh, we missed it. It was so much fun. But in fact, it wasn't. Do you get a sense of that? Is there sort of this fakery that happens with a lot of the postings?
I think definitely, yes. I myself am definitely guilty of going out and making my night appear like it was so fun and, oh, you wish you were here, but really I was kind of just sitting there not having the best time. So I took that opportunity, like, oh, I'm gonna just like make it appear that I'm having a good time, so that way it's not a wasted night. And it's terrible that that's how like people think, like, oh, like there was nothing cool that happened, like why did I even go out? Or sometimes like I will get ready to go out and I'll put on an outfit, I'll do my hair, my makeup, I'll take a picture and I'll post it, and I'll really be like, do I even need to go out now? Like people saw what I'm gonna wear, they saw like what my look is, like I did my job. That's how I feel. I feel like once like I already posted what I was doing and I let people know like, hey, this is what's going on in my life, I'm gonna be here tonight, this is what I'm wearing, this is what I'm doing, I don't actually need to go out and live it. It's crazy.
Yeah, same thing happens to me when I put my hair up, I do my makeup, and I put something on.
It's insane.
And he posted it, and that's when we call up his doctor to make sure he's okay. Is that now, for you that seems completely normal, and I think for your generation,
it
that's
definitely
sort of how it is.
Normal, but it's becoming normal. It shouldn't be,
right.
but it is. There's more and more people that are thinking this way, which
and
is
so
bad.
it's almost as if Instagram is deciding how you feel or how you should feel or who you like, or Instagram is creating some of the emotion where I thought, sort of looking at it from an old-fashioned standpoint, is that it would just be a reflection of what's happening. But it's almost
not.
It's
not reality.
It's not a reflection of the reality. It's almost a
myth.
Whatever, a myth.
It's a myth.
It's
a creative interpretation of your own reality.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's normal for like humans to look for validation socially, just in general. But when they look for their self-worth and other people's opinions, that's when it becomes a problem and has a negative effect on your mental health. So, for example, when I woke up this morning, I put my makeup on, I did my hair, I put on this cute outfit.
Yeah, because you knew you were going to be on camera. You
Not
asked me that.
Because
Am I going to be on camera? Like, of course you are.
Not only because I knew I was going to be on camera, but I wanted to take a picture of myself and put it out there for social judgment and get that self-validation. When it's strange to me because I'm not an insecure person. I can sit here and say, I know that I look good today, but I still wanted to put that picture out there to see if other people agreed with me.
Validation? You wanted validation.
Yeah,
and I think validation,
but I don't need validation.
You don't need
so
it, but you like it.
Yeah, I
well, by the way, it's when I write something or I do something on camera, I want people to say, hey, you did a good job.
Oh, exactly. I don't. Because then I think they're sucking up. And, I don't. By the way, when I woke up this morning, what I did, I put on a pair of shorts, a T-shirt, and went out and did the hedges. So that's I should have done a picture of, here's Dan Lothian doing his own hedges in the morning. Right. I should have done that.
That would have been.
That's something that I would do. I would be like, I woke up this morning and I did this and this. And it's like, why do I feel the need to tell everyone what I'm doing step by step? I will not make breakfast without taking a picture of my breakfast. It's like,
see, my son does that, and it annoys me.
Did I even eat? Oh my God.
We go out to a restaurant. The first thing, he's like snapping pictures, and he's getting the lighting just right to show the meal.
My father gets so aggravated when we're sitting down to family dinner, and he made this nice meal, and I'm like, wait, don't touch anything.
Yeah, I know.
I gotta take a picture first.
My son does that.
Like, are you serious? Like, is this real?
Because he's proud of the work that he put in to put food on the table for you guys. He worked his butt off, plus he worked in the kitchen.
And I want to show it off.
He wants to show it off.
Right.
This is what I do for my family. Look what my family ate, and I did this.
But I want to show everyone, oh, look, I'm eating this nice meal. And he's like, can you just enjoy it without taking a picture of it? And I understand where he's coming from, but I just still feel the need to like, no, I want to show everyone. And
share. It's sharing your world.
I love sharing like all these like personal details that you're just not supposed to share with the world.
Now, is there something, do you as you think about people who do that beyond just being an influencer, right? I mean, this is part of you influencing and getting paid to do that.
Yes.
But for the general public out there, is there a downside to this?
I mean, like I said before, I definitely think that it has a negative effect on your mental health when you're looking for so much validation and trying to find your self-worth in other people's opinions of you. So when you put any kind of picture out there, you're open to public ridicule and judgment. So more people are being exposed to what people think of them instead of just worrying about how it makes them feel in the moment and being present.
Right.
God, I've known Nicole.
Wait. Were you speechless just now?
I was. I'm
Jimmy,
so proud. I am so proud of this young woman in our presence.
Another note I'm going to make here.
You can.
There was a moment on this day that Jimmy opened his mouth, but words did not emerge.
Something I have never been witness of.
All right. And by the way, all right, Steve. All right.
Yes.
Hey. You know what I can do, right? I can do this, right?
And Steven could just pull the plug.
That's right. And you can turn my volume down.
Exactly, as I
All
just
right.
did.
So basically, I was going to give Nicole a little credit and tell her.
Some validation.
Validation. I totally
yes.
was. I validate
But
you.
she already got validated this morning on Instagram.
No, I need more validation.
No
Okay,
validation. Never enough.
By the way, how come we're not
never
snapping
enough.
pictures in here and posting something?
I was only validated for my looks. I wasn't validated for my mind.
Oh, so
you
now
have
it's
to
the
validate
mind.
my
Mental
mind.
valid.
I'll
Right.
give her credit. I'll agree with that, actually,
Okay.
in many ways. I've known her since she was 13 years old. She is a college graduate now, and she's looking. Now, this is actually serious here. She's looking for work.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an easy time for a 22-year-old coming out of college looking for work.
It's tough out there.
Trying, by the way, it's tough if you're 60 with 40 years in media, too. I just want to make sure we make that very clear to people.
So you have that to look forward
Yeah,
to.
that's right. Yeah.
Right,
Good
right.
luck after your career's over. It's
That's right.
Anyway, point being, again, she has certain skills, and she's trying to figure out where she can apply those skills into the real world and come up with a W-2 job that gets her benefits and some security and a job. And it is not easy to do that anymore. Back in the day, Dan, we would go to college and get our college degrees, and we would say, okay, now I'm going to get myself a job.
But at the same time, I mean, I sort of, as I look back, I'm completely happy and satisfied with how my career panned out.
Well, I would hope so.
But
your career was amazing compared to mine.
No, but what I think is kind of intriguing is the fact that if you're able to pull it off, you can use technology to give you that balance of your life and work, right? Because you're now able to, if you create a big following and you're able to write blogs and post videos or whatever, and that you build a career out of that, you can do that from anywhere in the world. You're not tied to an office and a desk in a city that you don't like.
Right.
And really the amount of money you make really is up to you. If you get enough sponsors and enough this and that, and you can build a pretty comfortable career.
Right.
I'm not saying it's easy, but I think that that's something that is open and available to young people now, which is something we didn't have.
Right, and your son has created a following for his racing career.
He has. I mean, he's not at these numbers, but again, the other thing that's intriguing about it is that it's great to have 1 million followers or tens of thousands of followers, it's sometimes with what?
I wouldn't know.
But sometimes it's about the quality. It's about the quality of the followers that you have.
I agree.
And so there are people out there. I know a guy who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and he only has about 7,000 followers, but he has a product that people buy into, and he posts all the time, and they have subscriptions and this, that, and the other, and he does it all from his basement. And it's amazing how that can happen. So it's about the quality. If you have people who are dedicated to whatever it is, whether it's fitness or health or whatever it may be, and people will pay for that expertise, you can do it. You can be in some island somewhere and get that done.
Yeah,
so
I'm
that's
looking forward
cool.
to doing that sometime.
I think the main issue with trying to make social media and technology sustainable and full time is the great content being consistent. Like I said earlier, you have to always stay relevant, and it's so hard to keep up with the content because eventually people are just like, okay, I'm looking for the next best thing. Like the next big thing is who's the next pretty blonde that's coming up that's going to take your spot. So you have to have something else besides your looks. You have to have substance to keep people entertained and really feel invested in you and be like a relatable role model that girls will want to watch grow and grow with them and look up to. Because if you're just a pretty face, you're just a pretty face, and they can just go to the next pretty face.
That's right.
Wow, well, we don't have to worry about that, Jimmy.
Yeah, speak for yourself. Come on.
Well, this was great.
By the way, it's another reason why Nicole and I have always gotten along.
She's the pretty and you're the face.
Just saying.
So,
Just saying.
Anyway, Nicole, it was great having you in here.
Now, we're going to
Yeah.
experiment, right?
Well,
Because this is
oh,
live. We're live streaming,
Right.
right? You have a following. Once we cut this
But she
section
said
up,
she has to believe in what the product is before she was endorse it.
she believes in the product.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Jimmy.
Because she believes in herself, and she always picks up the phone and calls me back and says, "Hey, you got anything for me?" And I say, "Come on the show, and we'll see." And I'd like to see.
Footwork.
I would like to see. Perhaps we could pick up a few subscribers from the Nicole Spiller following.
Hey, if we get 5, I'll be happy.
There you go. 5. There's your goal.
You hear that, guys?
5. All we need is 5.
Please.
5.
We're begging you. Validate us.
I don't beg.
Validate us.
And I don't care
I'll
if I'm
beg.
validated.
I don't care. I'll beg for anything.
And Nicole knows this too. I do the same show whether one person is watching or 10,000 or
I know.
50,000 or 100 million.
I've seen you
That's
do-
about being authentic.
Yeah,
You're
no, Jimmy will
authentic.
stand in a
Thank you,
room and do a
Nicole.
show for himself.
Yes, and by the way, I have done shows by myself. I'll have you know.
Hey, if you like this episode, thanks again for joining us, by the way,
course,
Nicole. It
thanks
was
for
great
having
having
me.
you on. If you like this episode, let us know. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. We'll try to be consistent by posting and putting things out there so that you will have lots of interesting content to take in. Have any questions or comments, let us know. Reach out to us at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. The bell, please.
Okay, the bell. Now that
Yes.
means, Nicole, thank you
Oh,
so
no,
much.
but
Can
you
I
know-
shamelessly plug my
Actually,
own
let it-
self?
Oh, wait,
Yes,
this is
actually,
it. This is the halftime. This is exact.
So
Before you leave,
before
by
you
all
leave,
means.
by all means, this is time for shameless plug. Go ahead.
Good.
So if you guys want to see more, my Instagram is at Nicole Amber with 2 I's, NIICOLEAMBER, and that's where I post most actively. And then I also am on Twitter at Nicole_Spiller.
And
you have a
can
YouTube channel now.
Yes, but we're not going to promote that because that's not very polished yet.
We're going to work on that. We're going to work on that.
We're
That's
working
why
on
you're
the
here. We're going to
YouTube.
make sure that that's we're
I'm
gonna start-
polishing my video editing.
And
so.
Okay.
we'll maybe even do a live streamed podcast of yours coming up soon, maybe, perhaps.
Maybe.
Oh,
All right.
that's one way to do it. Live, Jimmy.
Yes.
Just throw out all the ideas.
I love it. That's
Give
right.
it away. The competition will come and steal it. Remember? The other blonde will come along, steal everything. Okay, this show is powered by Mack Weldon. It's a premium men's essentials brand. Jimmy ordered his Mack Weldons and is still giving it thumbs up.
Oh, no. I tell you what, they've now gone through the laundry probably a dozen times.
Yeah.
And it's like you wore them for the first time in many ways.
Really?
They really stand up. There is definitely a clear Mack Weldon difference with these undergarments.
From other undergarments.
From other undergarments, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. And it's, again, I think I've asked you this before, but it is the elasticity of the product, or it is just the
Quality of
feel?
the fabric.
Okay.
And I really like the wide waistband. It
Do you?
really, yeah.
Yeah.
I've had other
because now you don't have to
undergarments.
exercise.
That's right. I have other undergarments with thin waistbands,
Right.
and I just don't like the way they feel. Now I'm throwing those out,
Right.
and
yet-
because I'm wearing my Mack Weldons more.
So if you don't have to rather than do sit-ups to make your stomach go in, you just buy Mack Weldons that can contain the growth and comfort.
I am all about the core, as you know,
Yes.
and strengthening that core.
Yes.
And I'll admit that my core's never been stronger since I've been wearing my Mack Weldons. How's
Very
that?
nice.
All
Whatever
right, sure.
you are wearing right now, Mack Weldon is much better. As Jimmy pointed out, Mack Weldon believes in smart designs, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. It's the winning formula, ladies and gentlemen. Mack Weldon will be the most comfortable underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, and sweatpants you have ever placed on your body. So get on board with the people who know. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code CLNS at checkout. This show is also powered by Little Part Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. For more, check out littlepartmedia.com or contact info@littlepartmedia.com. Okay, third quarter. You were hesitant
That was
on
a
the
pregnant
bell there.
pause.
That was. What does off the record mean? The public doesn't understand, and neither does Trump. Hello, everybody.
That's for sure.
Welcome to this episode of Behind the Media. I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
We find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Like us on Facebook, use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter, and listen on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. Today's episode is powered by Mack Weldon. It's a premium men's essentials brand. For 20% off your first order, visit MackWeldon.com and enter promo code CLNS at checkout. We're also powered by Little Part Media, where ideas come to life, producing corporate videos and podcasts to tell your story. For more, check out littlepartmedia.com or contact info@littlepartmedia.com. So why are we talking about on the record, off the record, on background, on deep background? Well, here it is. President Trump called for a meeting with the publisher of the New York Times.
Now, did the president ask AG to come down? Isn't that
I think so.
Sullivan,
Well,
right?
typically that's how it typically
I'm
works.
inviting you to the White House.
Right. That's usually, and it's Salzberger. And
right.
he usually what happens is there is some either someone from your office says we would love to have a conversation with the president, or someone from the president's office says the president would like to have a conversation with you.
And I believe that the meeting was on the idea that the conversation would be
off the record.
The record.
Right. And one of the big concerns is that the New York Times has been the target of the president.
Correct.
And so let's have a conversation, have you come in, we can talk about some of the issues, and maybe we can put this all behind us. Off the record.
Right.
Right? Which means that not only do you not discuss
the conversation, private,
but sometimes to the extreme of off the record, you're not supposed to even say that the meeting took place.
Okay. And who broke that code?
Oh,
now, who could it be?
Could it be?
Could it be the POTUS man?
Could it be the POTUS man?
Did he decide to take it under his own and decide, oh, this is what we talked about? Oh,
and do a tweet,
I was
tweet,
only
tweet,
kidding
tweet,
about that off the record
and a little
thing.
tweet.
Yeah.
Yes, he tweets about this thing, and then, of course, the publisher has to go put it on the record himself in order to counter what the president said, because he said that wasn't exactly what had happened. So now, all of a sudden, this off-the-record meeting becomes a tit-for-tat in a public
It's
place.
a he said, she said, or
Exactly.
he said, and she said, she said, she said.
That sounds like something the Three Stooges would have done.
Wise guy. Yeah. By the way, Mom would never let me watch the Three Stooges.
Why? It was too violent.
Very violent.
Yeah,
and
compared
also,
that
I
to
want to tell you,
violence now.
racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic.
Of
But
course.
besides that, it was great TV.
Yeah, you're right. I look back at it and say, what was I thinking?
No kidding.
But you do get some chucks out of that.
Yes, it was the epitome of slapstick humor,
which we don't
at the
get.
time-
Most kids don't get. But at the time, that was all the rage.
Correct.
Yes.
Although I have seen a lot of slapstick, stupid humor. I call it stupid humor now.
Yeah, it's stupid. I don't get it.
Right.
And maybe it's an age thing.
I know it's an age
It's an age
thing.
thing. So what we decided to do is people just the general public doesn't get what the off the record stuff.
And I
is.
want to tell you, have you ever been burnt by being on the record or off the record?
Oh, of course I have.
Yeah.
Yes, but I have a great and you like my White House stories, especially
Yes, I
the
do.
swimming pool under the
I do. I
the
love
press
the
room,
swimming
right?
pool story.
Right. We said that, by the way, if you want to find out about that, just search swimming pool in our podcast, and it's somewhere. Early on, was it the first one? Yeah, I think it was.
It may have been one of the first
second
ones
podcast.
because it's a story you told me in the
Right.
very beginning.
And
it
you
has
want-
stuck with me forever,
Exactly.
and I use it whenever I go to a bar
Right.
and talk to you
It's like
and
there's
talk to
a
people.
swimming pool.
I said,
It's
"Did
empty
you
now,
know?" That's
under
right.
the briefing room when the reporters are there getting whiplash from Sarah Sanders.
That's right.
Underneath their feet, under
Right.
the floor, there is an empty. Well, it's not empty. It's filled with a lot of electronic equipment.
Right.
All the stuff and wires and cables that they use to go broadcast out. It's all in the pool.
Right, and there are tiles on that pool
But
that
it's just like a
special
pub.
people have autographed.
Not just anybody.
Anybody
But
who gets that special tour, though, you
That's
have to
right.
get the special
It's a
tour because the
secret
public
tour.
tour doesn't get it, but
No,
the
no,
special
no.
tour gets it.
Right.
And people autograph those tiles, and
Right.
and this guy,
Yeah.
Dan Lothian's autograph is right next to Bono from U2,
Yes.
and I just think that is one of the coolest things ever.
That is pretty cool.
It is.
Especially since I don't have access to the White House anymore. So I can say I'm always there.
And I bet, well, you know what? I'm going on a limb thinking Mr. Bono wouldn't visit the White House these days.
We would not be allowed.
That's right.
But anyway, so here's my story about the White House and this off the record. Something similar to this.
Okay.
So there was this Jay Carney, the then White House spokesman for President Obama, decided to throw this secret meeting. We got these emails that said you and your significant other are invited to come to the White House on a particular evening for something. We didn't know what.
Okay.
And so we show up, and it's about 30 of us, and the president comes out. And we're hanging out. I'm there with my wife, and we're hanging out, and he just wanted to hang out. And he would go around. You had to position yourself in the foyer area, and he would go around and spend 10 minutes with every couple. Yeah.
Nice. Just to chit-chat.
Just a chit-chat.
Nice.
Now, someday I'll tell you about what the content of the chit-chat was, because he and I got into it. You know, Obama and I we respected each other, but we weren't,
Besties.
we were certainly not besties,
Okay.
believe me, no.
Right, okay.
And so, anyway, he walks around and he does this thing. So, it's off the record. We couldn't say this thing. Only the people who were there knew that this thing was even happening. It was off the record. You weren't supposed to talk about it. Right. So
no photo ops, no selfies.
Well, the president always has a photographer following him, which will be the undoing of this story. He walks around, he snaps pictures of everything.
Right.
Okay, so he took pictures. So I think it was 2 weeks after that secret meeting, someone else said to me, Dan, there's a picture of you and your wife and the president in the hallway. So every time there are really cool pictures that the White House photographer takes, they blow them up and they frame them. And the hallway where you go from lower press, which you come from the press room to lower press where the sort of the junior press people are, and then you go up to where the White House spokesman's office and the communication director, there's a hallway right there. They put them on that wall. Oh. So they go, there's a picture of you with the president. I'm like, when did I get a picture with the president? So I go up and look, and lo and behold, it was a picture from the off-the-record meeting that we had with the president. By the way, I later found out I could have bought that picture. I have a copy, but I could have bought that one.
The original picture.
The original one.
Oh, wow.
I could have bought it. And then after that, it got put somewhere, and it was hard for me to retrieve it. But
it's
anyway,
in the pool.
It's in the pool. That's right. So anyway, so then, of course, everyone started walking by and going, well, what's that thing what Lothian was on? And suddenly, it was put off the record, right? Because they took a picture and posted it in the hallway. So now I felt like I could talk about it.
Right.
Which I did.
Oops.
No, they didn't.
Was there an oops?
No, well, they didn't get upset. It never happened again. But they never got upset about it. But what happened was that the people who were not invited got angry.
Sure.
And says, how come this wasn't open for all White House correspondents to go to this thing? And I said, well, I don't know. And I talked about it because at that point I figure it's no longer off the record. We weren't even supposed to discuss that this thing took place. The president took it off the record, or whoever decided to put maybe the president didn't make that decision, but whoever decided to put the picture up there decided to take it off the record. And so this is kind of the nuanced thing that it's not just in the Trump administration, although in this case it is different than
it sure is.
Off the record, by definition, is that you don't talk about who it was, who in some cases, extreme cases that I pointed out, you don't even say what you did, and you don't name who it was with. You don't quote that person with attribution. And people just get the information if they get it, but you can't give it to them, right? Mm-hmm. So that's off the record. Now, everything can be negotiated. Sometimes you can say this quote.
Sort of off the record?
You can use that information and talk about that information, but you can't quote it, and you can't attach my name to it. So that one sometimes is referred to off the record, not for attribution.
Aha.
Okay, so that's another. All of these they're never sort of black and white.
Yeah.
Right? They're sort of these broad terms, and it means different things to different people, and that's why this gets so complicated. Because someone says, well, off the record, I thought it meant this. So the important thing is to always say, by off the record, I mean X, and just point it out.
Define what it is.
And
don't leave it up to interpretation.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly. And so then you have on background, which sometimes is they want you to, you can get the information. It can be published, but only under certain kind of agreement that you had with your source. So you may be able to use the context of what I gave you in a broad sense, sort of a recap of it, or you use that information to go and get somebody else to put it on the record for you. But it is not, I'm giving you the info, you can use it, but you can't quote me.
Right.
And you have to be very vague about where you got it. Right. You could, and sometimes background could just be, okay, you can use that and say it came from a White House official.
Right.
That's
another.
What it says,
a government official, a federal worker. Right. Because if you say I have a source,
right?
No, sure you do. Who is it? Who's your source?
Again,
the housekeeper.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That kind of a thing, as opposed to no, this is actually someone who's on the payroll of the government.
Exactly.
Okay.
So again, you have to think about how specifically what are the rules for that particular case, because it's not, again, just black and white. And then there's deep background. And deep background, and that's one that's rarely used sort of in general journalism circles, but in Washington, it's one that you get oftentimes where someone will say, this is not anything that you can use other than to give you the information so you can start digging for it, number one. Or number two, Deep background is what often happened in the White House when we were on Air Force One, where you don't even really talk about the president coming back and what he said in the airplane, but it is to inform your thinking. Right. So if you know that the president came back and said really snarky things about some, Republican nominee for office, then you can understand later when the president does do something on the background that, this is a festering situation, right? They're not getting along because we remember that conversation that we had with the president or with some other officials. So that's deep background. Again, these are things that the general public might sit there and go, I don't
Do
get
they
it.
care?
Do they care?
At this point, they don't know what's real, what's not real, what's on the record, off the record,
they think everything.
fake news, real news. It's all up for interpretation.
It is. I mean, if you're looking at it as up for interpretation, then, throw everything I just told you out the window. But I think the bottom line is that when you're using these terms, if you're dealing with a reporter, the best thing to do is I think this article in the New York Times pointed it out, wouldn't it be best if we just used plain English? What was it that there can be benefits to a reporter to just use regular English. Like here's what I mean. Can a source be quoted by name? Can we use the information and we leave out the name? Can we at least describe the source's job? Just speak English sometimes, especially if you're not talking to an official, right? It's just someone who wants to give you information, but they're a little squishy and sort of gray area for them in their minds as to what off the record means. Just speak English. Don't use the jargon that reporters use all the time. I think that might make things a lot easier. So this, by the way, what we're doing is on the record.
It's very much on the record.
That's right. And if you also would like to be on the record, then let us know how you feel about this episode. Like us on Facebook. Use the hashtag Behind the Media to engage with us on Twitter. Have any questions or comments, reach out at info@littlepartmedia.com. That's info@littlepartmedia.com. Did you just yawn?
I was hiding behind the pop screen.
You just yawned.
I'm tired. I
goodness.
actually got 6 hours of sleep last night. I think it was too much sleep.
Oh, my goodness. Jimmy, ladies and gentlemen, just yawned.
I think it's because I think I turned down the air conditioning. It's a little hot in here.
Oh, yeah. Blame the air conditioning.
Can you maybe? Never mind.
No, because then it kicks on and it makes a lot of noise.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
That's what it is. I'm warm. It's nap time.
Yes, and it's fourth quarter, too, which is time for Bites Behind the Media. Right? These are some other stories that people are buzzing about. So we'll start off with CBS and Les Moonves. Have you been following that one?
No, because I am so sick of sexual harassment stories. I'm tired of it. Every man in power has committed sexual harassment. Tell me stories about people that haven't.
Oh, that's so you're saying it's old. We shouldn't cover it.
No, I'm just tired of it.
It is. And I think this one, I think it was USA Today that put out a tweet. Certainly I got something online that said, oh, by the way, he's being suspended. And then they had to retract that and said, well, actually, he's being investigated. The board is investigating these allegations. I think they have an outside counsel now who's involved in this.
And they had some kind of a news conference with him, and nobody asked the question about sexual harassment.
And he didn't bring it up.
Right.
So I think it again is the continuing flushing out of an old way of, power, the power structure and the abuses of power in business, and really in all aspects of life. But certainly in the media, we've seen that it all started in media with Bill Cosby and Weinstein and all of those.
And this fueled the Me Too movement.
It fueled it, exactly. And this house of cards, if you will, crumbled. This sexual harassment, sexual abuse cards that had been behind the scenes. Some women had been complaining about it, but were not believed. And now it is, I think people tend to believe it now before, unlike in the past.
Right.
But this is a case that's being investigated. I'm not saying he did or didn't do something, but it's something we're keeping an eye on.
It's certainly worth investigating, but like I said,
he is the big guy at CBS.
And I'll tell you, and I think this is probably a stereotype, a profile of males in power who are older than me.
Yes.
Okay. I really think that they have been influenced by a completely different set of rules and cultures and a generation, and I really think sometimes they overstay their welcome in these powerful positions.
I think you're right, and they get used to doing things and they
their
abuse
way.
And so forth
Right.
because they've been getting away with it for so
Right.
long.
Right.
So sad story there. I hope that all gets straightened out. If, in fact, he didn't do anything, then he should be vindicated. If he did, then he needs to pay the price.
Correct.
$1 trillion Day. What's going on, Jimmy?
Apple.
Apple.
What,
red apples?
Apple.
No.
Apple.
Apple?
At least I didn't say Apple.
You own Apple?
Oh, man.
I have a
Oh,
bunch
wait, hang on a second. You mean stock?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I own Apple.
I have
I'm
apples.
a 1 gazillion
I bought
owner.
a bag of apples the other day.
Right, those apples, baby.
No.
Company, that's another story. Yes, there is some stock in a
portfolio of some sort.
somewhere that I'm trying not to look at.
But
anyway.
were you shocked by that we finally have a company?
Trillion?
I did. Yeah.
I was saying, what took so long?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But here's an interesting
and some
thing
people were saying, and the uneducated people were saying, is trillion a real money?
That's right. So you used a Southern accent there, Dan.
Yes,
Are
I
you
did.
saying that the South is uneducated?
No, I did not say that, Jimmy. That was
Sorry, because there's a Boston accent that I hear all the time,
I
wonder about that
yeah,
too.
the reason I use that, it's the only one I can do.
Aha, there
I'm
you
not
go.
good at my accent.
I get you.
Or I would have
understood.
done a Boston accent, but I can't do
Boston
that. Boston accent. Yeah, but
Right.
how,
No
$1 trillion?
eyes. No eyes.
No, that- I
$1
can't
trillion.
dollar.
So we talk. Go ahead. You want to
No,
finish
no,
the story?
no, I'm
Apple's
done.
$1 trillion company.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
did you know
What?
that they are taking on? Apple is now becoming one of the. It's taking on Google and Facebook. And actually turning more search. They're becoming a bigger search engine
Than Google?
and Facebook.
How do you do it? How do you search? on
Through the
Apple?
App Store.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So once you go through that App Store
Yeah.
and you get an app, right, and then you say, okay, I'm downloading this app. Now you are giving Apple your stuff,
Right.
and they will give you, ads and all
Right,
this
they
stuff.
push
Just-
stuff
right,
to you.
right.
Steven,
So
do you
interesting.
search through Apple?
Not really.
Well, when you go on the App Store, don't you search for the app you're looking for? Are you looking for a type of app?
Do you spend a lot of
I
time?
don't go to the App Store that
You don't
much.
go to the App Store that much. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
man,
let me
neither
tell you
do
about
I.
most of the people are. Apple search ads see
Steven,
a
you're now
50
not most
get
of the
this.
people.
So this has to do with search ads.
Yes.
Okay. Apple search ads see a 50% conversion rate.
Wow.
Now, Apple says this. So
Right.
again,
So that means that
but
people
Facebook-
who see the ad buy something that's
click.
in the ad. They click.
Half of them, right.
Right.
Facebook has turned a 31% conversion rate on app install ads into a 0.54% click-through rate. Google has a 17% conversion rate and a 0.7% click-through rate. And Apple is now boasting a 53% conversion rate and a 5.8% click-through. So you know what this tells me more than
Well,
anything else?
I was just going to ask you, what does this tell you?
It tells
Jimmy?
me that Apple users are very loyal to the products
Yeah.
that they support and use.
They
and
are.
I think we all know that.
They're rabid, though.
They are rabid.
Like people who are Apple are like all in on Apple.
I'm all in on Apple.
I'm not all in on Apple.
I know you're not. You're still on the Android and the PC in the other
I
room.
have
What's up with that?
I have a fruit bowl
Yes.
on my table.
Yes, you
I'm
do.
into apples and oranges and bananas and grapes.
But I just found that interesting. And here's another thing that I found interesting because it's international. Did you
Yeah.
know?
No, I didn't.
According to the you didn't study the 2018 App Annie report?
No, I did not.
Japan downloaded some 9.5 billion apps from 2010 to 2017, followed by France, 4.5
so they're at the top.
billion.
Yeah.
Germany, 4.1 billion. Italy, 2.9 billion, putting each of those within the global top 10. But by comparison,
The United States.
40 billion apps during that same time frame.
Wow.
So we are the app king of the world, whatever that means.
Yes. So people are just downloading like crazy. Here.
Apps.
I wonder what that means. Like how you translate that to time. Are people every half a second someone is downloading an app?
I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder how that.
I don't know.
I don't really download a lot of apps.
No,
it's just too much. I
Well,
don't want
what I do is I download them,
and
look
then
at
get
them,
'em out?
and then I get rid of them.
I can't
I'm not
tell-
using this one. In fact, right now I'm going through a war between WeatherBug and Weather Channel.
Oh yeah, I do like weather apps.
I do like weather apps
Right.
because it informs you of what's coming.
Yes,
Like
exactly.
last night we had this horrific
Oh,
thunderstorm.
but my app was off.
Right, my app
Because
was on, and I knew, and it was like, and my brother-in-law Matt's telling me, "Oh, by the way, it's going to rain like crazy here in about 20 minutes."
And I'm looking
like,
at mine saying, "No, it's not."
"Show me the radar."
I looked at it and it said nothing, sunny, no rain, no nothing.
Which is why I deleted that other app, and I'm
I
not going
think
to say
I'm going to
which
do
app
that.
I'm going to tell you.
I'm
right.
going to delete mine probably. So I'll be uploading a new app
That's
for
right.
the first time in a while.
All right.
So this other story, we talked about it, I think, way back. So this is a story of Seth Rich, the guy guy who ended up dead in Washington, D.C., and then there's this whole conspiracy theory thing, and Fox News and Hannity were really pushing this, that it was somehow the liberals who were responsible for
everything.
Exactly. And so, I mean, it turned
including
out,
social change, I might add.
and it turns
Never
out
mind.
that Fox News had to sort of apologize for some of the discussions
Fake
around,
news?
right? Some of the fake news that
Did
had
they
been pushed
actually
through.
admit that they were doing fake news?
So
because after all,
so that was
everybody
certainly
else
fake.
is doing it,
That
right?
was certainly fake on Hannity's part.
Yes.
But Seth Rich's parents, and I believe his brother as well, separately had launched lawsuits against Fox News because of the reporting that they did, the false reporting that they did, and a judge threw that out. He dismissed the lawsuit that was brought against Fox News.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one, and I think it's all about, if someone, you have to look at what the intent is. If there was a reporter who was doing a story with the intent of deception or whatever it may be, I think it makes more of a case here, a legal case. I don't know that they're as much as disturbing and as wrong as it was. I think it is a difficult one to win in court. And I can see, and this doesn't mean, just because it's thrown out doesn't mean it's the end of this, but I can see why this New York judge dismissed this lawsuit, and we'll see where it goes from there. But that's a story that was all over the news, and so we just wanted to post that up there.
All right, I've got one more.
Sure.
Okay, so you've heard of U.S. News and World Report.
Yes.
I mean, it's been around a long time.
Yeah.
It was in a publication.
It's still around.
Not only is it around,
Yes.
but it's one of the few publications that has stopped publishing a print version
And digital.
moved over to the digital side,
And
and
they're
is
doing
now
well.
killing it.
Yeah. No, I know people over there.
Right. They're killing it.
That was my Boston
And,
accent.
that's good. 40 million monthly visitors, okay, which I
Wow.
think is very, very interesting. 10 million going to each of its 4 core subject areas: education, health, government, and money. And they are using podcasting.
Oh, isn't
And-
that special?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons why I and I've talked about this many times in my classes that I teach at colleges about mass media. And what happens a lot in traditional media is they have their blinders on. They only know what has worked for them for the last generation. So we can't adapt into the digital world. It's
No.
happened for newspapers.
Of course not.
It's happened in television. It's happened in radio. No one gets outside of that comfort zone because they've been making money in that comfort zone for a long time. And
Well,
here
but they
is
also don't, part of getting out of the comfort zone is understanding what you're going to jump into.
Correct.
And I think it's a mystery. Podcasting still for some is a mystery. But
Right.
if you understand it and you embrace it, it can really help.
And again, the key, they understood this. We're going to go into the digital age because the advertisers who support us want the information that we can give them about the users, our audience, and how they're using us and who they are and where they are.
And you can do
And
that. You
that's
can drill
valuable
down.
information.
Data.
But you can't if you just publish a magazine.
No, you can't.
And I've been talking about
This
that, as
is
you know.
sticky data. You can track it
Yes,
everywhere.
Correct. So that's
Okay.
my end of that's my last bite.
Wow, this was just a high energy show, Jimmy.
What a shock. I'm involved with high energy.
Yes, no.
So in other words, when I was yawning, I think I crashed.
Wow, this is great. Anyway, thanks for listening and enjoying this podcast because, of course, we know you enjoyed it. Like it, share it. Keep listening on iTunes and the CLNS Media Network. For our director, Steve Helmuth, and producer and social media guru, Alex Barth, I'm Dan Lothian.
And I'm Jimmy Young.
And now you know what's behind the media.